Hello and welcome to my channel. I am the Broken Paper Girl. I am an autistic girl and I am going to be doing a comparison of the movie music by singer-songwriter Sia and the movie Please Stand By, directed by Ben Lewin and based on the 2008 short play of the same name by Michael Golamco, who also wrote the screenplay for the film. These films, although approached differently, have the same overall premise: the story of an autistic girl and the trials and tribulations of her life. Someone might point out that in music, the titular character is non-verbal, whereas in Please Stand By, Wendy is verbal, thus making it radically different. Though that may be true, at heart, the story should boil down to one simple aspect. They are both human beings, something that seems to be forgotten in the film music. I will start by analysing the main characters. So both Wendy and music are played by neurotypical actresses. Wendy is played by Dakota Fanning and music is played by Maddie Ziegler. And although I would love to have an autistic movie or series where the main character is played by an autistic actor, I'm also realistic enough to know that in order for that to happen, Hollywood has to see autistic stories as the trend or something they can make money out of so that they can, raise the bar on representation, because that's how it always happens. It always boils down to money and having people show up to watch the movies, which is awful. So, which is why I think unless a movie is or a series is super offensive, the way music is, and dangerous because music has some really messed up scenes, you shouldn't boycott them, just criticize them. Because putting the critique out there makes it so that people understand that yes, people are watching this movie or they're watching this series, but they don't like this, this, and this, and they might stop watching if we don't fix it. And it might, give the incentive for future movies and screenplays and series to actually feature autistic actors or autistic writers, or, having someone who is on the spectrum at least be there and be present to correct things that they're doing, because they actually did that in Please Stand By. They had autistic people giving their opinion on certain things, which made the movie actually pretty great. At least I think so. Whereas in music, though Sia says she did 2 or 3 years of research, she seemed to first forget that the character was actually a human being, not a plot device. And second, forget that making poor Maddie do what she did was actually a mockery of autistic body language. But, well, I'm trying not to rant here, so. But yeah, and no, I don't blame Maddie Ziegler for the mockery of her performance, seeing as she was 14 at the age of filming, and she was assured by an adult that several years of research had gone into the making of this film, and she was pressured into it because even Sia has said herself that she was worried that people were going to think she was mocking them, which, yes, Maddie, that was a smart concern, girl. So no, I don't blame her at all. So, yeah. In Please Stand By, we get a clear picture of Wendy's routine as well as her personality. We know she loves Star Trek, she loves writing about Star Trek, she wants to enter this writing competition, the screenplay for Paramount Pictures. She hates her job making Cinnabons, but actually enjoys the Cinnabons themselves. She enjoys knitting, she likes taking Pete, the Holmes dog, for a walk. She actually doesn't get along with everyone. She has this roommate that at some point she calls a fuckface because he's always hugging the toaster. Wendy seems to be determined, intelligent. She's clearly excited to meet her niece Ruby, and she wants to go back and live with her sister in the house where they grew up in, which is why she wants to win the competition to get $100,000. And she thinks, her sister Audrey will realize that she's independent now, she doesn't need to take care of her. And, the relationship between Wendy and Audrey is a bit strained because Audrey doesn't really know how to handle Wendy when she has meltdowns, and she's worried that leaving Ruby with her could potentially be dangerous, which is a normal concern if you have a baby, and you know that someone like Wendy may not be able to take care of herself, so how is she going to be able to take care of a baby? So I don't blame the way that they wrote Audrey here, because honestly, in real life, this would be a concern. Like me, don't ever leave me alone with a baby, because that's gonna end terribly. Like, I don't think I could just be left with a child and be like, take care of it. It'll be fine. No, don't do that, please. I will freak out. But also, Wendy's relationship with Scotty, her therapist, is also pretty good, because even though her therapist is saying that she's getting better and all these things, that she has improved a lot, she's getting more control, she's getting better at being independent, her therapist also kind of a bit underestimates her, and throughout the storyline of Please Stand By, you see that Wendy has grown to be quite capable of overcome so many obstacles that you wouldn't think she would be able to, which is what makes this movie so great for me. So, yeah. Then in music, we see music's daily routine through a very, very, very distorted view, where she lives in this perfect fantasy world where everyone in the neighborhood is helping to make sure she's okay, which is a dangerous thing to pass on to viewers, because not everyone's going to care about you. Actually, the vast majority of autistic people actually have been bullied or ostracized by other people, so this really, it didn't really connect with me. We don't actually get a lot of insight into music's personality. We learn very few things about her. We learn that she likes dogs, she likes this weird TV show, and though we are told that she seems to understand everything that goes on around her, throughout the movie, we barely see her interact with the world around her. We see her have like this weird dance music sequences in her head about things, and that's their way of showing us that that's how she perceives the world, but we don't actually have like a lot of interactions between music and other characters. We have no personal growth or journey for music herself, even though she's the titular character of the film, but let's not talk about that. So, moving on to the storyline. In Please Stand By, we go on a journey with Wendy to deliver her Star Trek script to Paramount Pictures in Los Angeles before the deadline is over. Wendy faces many obstacles in getting there, though she finds the will to overcome them. And no, I won't be telling you what they are because that would be a spoiler, and I actually want people to go check this movie out. In this storyline, we see how people actually react to someone who might seem a little odd, Some people don't care, some people are hostile, some take advantage of Wendy, and some do try to help her as best as they can. We also get these insights into Wendy's mind through the narration of her Star Trek script that perfectly parallels her own adventure, being a great metaphor for her own journey of personal growth, which I'm going to admit I loved very much, because we see not only, Wendy's capabilities as a writer, because she's actually really good, but we also see that, Wendy is growing and evolving before our eyes as we watch the movie. In music, though, we don't actually follow music's journey at all. Even though she is the titular character, and that is what the premise seems to indicate, the main character of the movie Music is actually Music's older sister, Kazoo, who is a recovering addict and gets custody of Music after their grandmother passes away. The movie goes on to show Kazoo's growth, if we can call it that, as she decides whether or not to keep her sister or send her to a facility. So the movie basically tells you that having an autistic relative is like having a burden that you have to carry. And also, the movie is written in such a way that you could replace music with a pet or a baby, and that would be the exact same story. That's how little interaction music has with the storyline itself. Kazoo also gets involved with a neighbor that is as much a plot device as music herself is to Zoo's story. And there seems to be this, conflict of, will Kazoo get a real job instead of being a drug dealer? And as a drug dealer, she actually interacts with Sia, who is in this movie and is buying drugs to help a third world country, because the actual non-profit organizations and charities, that help these kinds of countries when there's a disaster, were getting, all this red tape. And so she was going to fly in her private jet and just give people medication that she bought from a drug dealer, because that's safe. There's no way drug dealers would actually mess with medication that they sell to their customers to keep them coming. But, well, let's not talk about that either. The movie seems to attempt to give insight into music's mind through colourful and flashy musical moments, which are not at all appropriate to autistic audiences, with all the strobing lights and flashing colours. It was terrible. It was really hard to watch. God, it was so hard to watch. These insights are also confusing, as they begin with the focus on music, yet they soon shift to Kazoo, and there are some where you don't even know what the actual point of them is, except to exist. Yeah. Not a clue about some of them. Moving on to how these films actually address autism. I'm going to say that personally, I related to Wendy a lot in Please Stand By. I loved the way they created her room. I love that they had, her room with routines for the mornings and at night, on her wall, that she had a bunch of pictures of her niece Ruby, because she was so excited to meet her. I love that, they have all the places where she keeps, her notepad that she walks around her neck to write things in, and the whistle and everything, she keeps them by her bed when she goes to sleep, that she has all these things that, she has a color of a cardigan for every day of the week. And I loved that they managed to incorporate all of that, because yes, a lot of us actually require a pretty much structured routine for mornings and nights. I know I do. What else? I just really enjoyed the way that they characterized everything. Music fails all the marks of correctly creating an authentic autistic character, as far as I'm concerned. Whereas in Please Stand By, the film treats Wendy as a person rather than a plot device. They gave her autistic traits without letting them become the full spectrum of her personality. Music basically made a compilation of autistic traits, packaged it all together and said, this is the character. That's it. She doesn't need anything else. She's not a human being at all. What do you mean? She's totally a plot device for her sister. So, yeah. I hated the way music addressed autism. I really did. And I'm trying not to go into a rant here. I'm really trying. Well, in music wears all white. every day. She has this routine where she gets her hair braided, which is incredibly long. She always eats eggs in the morning. And then you have this whole walk that she goes in, and that's pretty much it. Like, we don't actually see music being faced with anything that she needs to overcome, except for the death of the grandmother and getting used to living with her sister. And even that is barely shown at all. Like, they completely like push it to the side. You know, like, you know, this really, really, really big change that happened into your life that will probably mess up everything for you for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, we're just gonna sidestep. That's fine. So I could rant about music ad nauseum, which I have to my friends and family, but I really wanted this to be a more positive video, so I tried to focus on the things it had in common with Please Stand By, and all the things that Please Stand By did right, and I really wish you guys would check that movie out. Even though it isn't perfect, it's still an amazing movie. I will link in the description some of the videos of other autistic creators pointing out the major flaws in music, if any of you are interested. I didn't want to get so deep into music because it gives me anxiety just thinking too much about it, and I'm really mad, and sometimes just ranting about a hysterical meltdowns, which I'm trying really hard not to trigger myself. So yeah, I try to approach this as a literature student, which is what I am, and focus mostly on the storyline and the character creation and how the characters are portrayed in the story, if it's good, if it's bad. And I didn't want to turn this into a rant. I really didn't. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for future content, and have a great day.